Good evening. Happy full moon. Welcome in. I'm Deborah. This is Purusha Intuitive, and as mentioned, we're going to do a full moon spirit reading. So I really appreciate your time, energy in watching this video. I hope you find messages that resonate. Definitely don't pick up anything that is not for you. These are collective energies, so some stuff might stick, some stuff might not. There are also timeless readings. Yes, this is the energy of the full moon in Cancer, but as long as the messages resonate, then they're for you. All right, so let's get going. I am going to start by clearing out the energy. Anything that doesn't serve us, that is not for us. There's been a lot coming up lately, and it's always good to just find practices that help us ground back into ourselves, into that clear state of mind, clear thinking. I love doing these energy clearings with these herbal smudge bundles. It just helps kind of break up the energy, so to speak. You know, whatever gets stagnant, blocked, caught into the little nooks and crannies. This is a great way to clear away. Be open to receive if you would like this blessing of pure love and light, pure source energy, pure loving grace. Releasing, letting go of what is not for our highest and best. Only bringing in messages that will serve healing, evolution, growth, abundance, prosperity, our divine right. All right, let's release and let go. The full moon is in Cancer, as I mentioned, and Cancer has a tendency, well, it's water. It rules the 4th house of home and family. And so it's this reflection on what is nurturing us in our life. And is it life supporting? Is it something that allows us to be our strongest, best version of ourselves? We're doing a lot of weighing out of the pros and cons lately, especially with Mercury in retrograde. We actually have 3 planets in retrograde right now: Mercury, Jupiter, and Uranus. And a lot of this is about, yes, doing some evaluations around self, around our environment, who we invite in, what we spend our time doing, as well as how are we working with that energy in order to tap into our authenticity, who we are, what we bring to the table. I did a lot. I had a very restful day. I tried to take care, nurture myself. That's definitely been a theme. Anytime we have a full moon, especially in a water sign, it really does heighten and amplify the emotion, and it can be easy to get sucked into the anxiety, the sadness, the depression, the fears, the anger, the resentments on what is not going our way. And really those things that come up become windows to see where we need to make adjustments. And I really loved this quote. I did a meditation this evening. I love Transcendental meditation. It is probably one of the best forms of meditation that I have come across. It has the components of, the woohoo of cleansing out, tapping into our spirit, aligning with our Atma, our higher self. But then it also has a lot of science behind it and backing. It really allows our brain to unlearn the rewiring that trauma can often cause, to kind of get rid of that stress in a easy and natural way while cleansing and purifying our consciousness. There's so many studies on not only the physical aspects like helping the cardiovascular system, our nervous system, like I said, the brain rewiring, functioning at, what is it? Shoot, I was so proud of myself. Like maximum coherence, alpha 1 coherence, sorry. So it's like a brainwave that everything is firing at its optimum capacity. All that to say, meditation, whatever form you choose, definitely check out Transcendental meditation because it is super dope. But, you know, it really helps us recenter, to take care of ourselves, to allow ourselves to regenerate, de-stress in the most optimal way that we don't always get, even when we rest, right? Even when we sleep, even during those times, etc. So I'm saying all of this because they actually have group meditations that you can join every day. Definitely look it up. I think it's, hold on, let me enjoytmnews.org. You can find a way. They do the meditations every hour on the hour. So definitely check it out. It's super valuable. I love doing it. And Bob Roth talked tonight about this quote from Ralph Waldo Emerson, who's one of my favorite authors. He had this way of really viewing the world from a holistic perspective, from this space of pure consciousness. And he says, to be yourself in a world that is constantly trying to make you something else is the greatest accomplishment. And that's what I feel for the full moon, especially tonight. It's such a valuable reality to be aware of, right? That, I mean, life is hard and messy and there's a lot going on. It's the nature of the beast, and we need to give ourselves credit where credit is due. We also need to take a look and see what is truly nurturing us, what is making us feel at home and supported and loved. That having that foundation is how we thrive in life. When you constantly have people putting you down, doubting you, saying you shouldn't be doing something or can't achieve something, it makes it challenging, right? Yes, it can definitely fuel that fire, but it can also be something that leads to self-sabotage, lack of worth, lack of value, doubting oneself. And why I'm talking about this is because this is so much of what's going on in the collective energy right now. And this full moon is about being able to sift between the illusion, the lies, the deceit, and what is truth, what is authentic, valuable truth. We see that with the sun and the moon harmoniously aspected to Jupiter as well as to Saturn, but the difficulties come into play with Mercury and Mars square to Neptune. We also have Jupiter square to the fortune point and our ascension, which is really speaking about how if we're not liking the results that we're seeing right now, it gets a little frustrating and annoying. Because there's still stuff to overcome. And this has been a theme lately about really wanting to be at the goal already or have things be over and done with. It's a little bit longer. I feel like I've been saying that for a couple weeks now. Unfortunately, things do move a little bit slower in the physical world because it's heavier energy, it's denser energy, right, than what we can intuit in spirit. Empathy for ourselves, for our situation, even for the world around us. I think it's so much of our learning, our karma, our growth, our evolution it challenges our fantasies about what we want life to be, who we want people to be, how we want things to play out. this does feel like the card of self-care, empathy for what you've gone through, validating how challenging it has been to overcome. Maybe even talk to some people, you know, get some insight into what you have accomplished. Oftentimes, people are really good reflection outside, you know, people about when we can have a good conversation or connect with someone who's a good person. We often can have that reflection of, you know, how strong we are, how empowered we are, the things that we have done right, instead of consistently focusing on what's not working, because that, again, is where that tension is coming into play. It's about what is not working. That creates resistance. That creates resistance to the flow. Ayurveda talks about this a lot, that, or even Transcendental meditation, Maharishi Mahesh. When we restrict, when we are not open to the flow, when we don't want something to happen, when we resist, it doesn't allow things to move. It actually creates pain and suffering. It creates those blocks and obstacles. And I think this is a lot about trust in the process. There's that element that spirit is working in the background to get all the components together, the people, places, and things that are necessary for what you're walking towards, what you're walking into. There is new beginnings, and there's a lot of prosperity in our environment. But I think that it comes with responsibility. It is about our divine purpose. It's, you know, what we bring to this world, what our light is here to shine. Not to be a cheese ball, just true, right? When we step into that path, that is truly where we find happiness and fulfillment. And you don't have to know exactly what that is right in this moment. Yeah, patience. Thank you for that, spirit, that confirmation. You don't have to know exactly in this moment how it all looks. If anything, it's more about feeling the energy than putting something, you know, like, yeah, feeling into the energy than like trying to force something to be the energy, if that makes sense. Like, sometimes what we want isn't fit for us, and it's not coming to us because it is not the right fit. And that is where we have to have the faith, or knowing that where we are headed, what the end result is even like better than what we could have imagined or dreamed. And so when we step into the energy of being in the flow, being patient, having trust and faith in the process, like minding our own P's and Q's, right? Like checking in on ourselves and what we can control and leaving the rest behind. And the message of this full moon is saying, okay, like, how are you nurtured? How are you supported? And are those things giving you life? Is it bringing you the success, the achievement, the abundance, the happiness, the fulfillment that you were anticipating? And if it's not, then it needs to be looked at. I feel like a lot of us are in this time of transformation. There are new cycles opening up. 8 of Wands, King of Pentacles popped out. Someone trying to communicate, Taurus, Virgo, Capricorn energy. This is also someone who's very good with business, very good with money. They might be coming in with a financial opportunity for you. Maybe this is what you're waiting on. Knight of Cups, Cancer, Pisces, Scorpio. Good intention, but not always the best follow through. So something's looming. The Empress just popped out. something's looming, and again, we've seen this if you're following the daily readings, something's looming in our energy. I feel like that is being slowly pushed out. There's a lot of dynamics tied into this situation. It's a little bit stickier than maybe even what we want to admit to ourselves. It takes time, right? Especially when we have something attached to us, or we are attached to something in a more intense way, right? Like if we leave, a friendship, an intimate relationship, if we have difficulties with family, close friends, a job we've been at for a long period of time, etc., we have stronger energetic cords to those things. And there is this natural unfoldment in life. There is a natural process. It's that same value of watching a plant grow. There's stages. It doesn't just all happen at once. And so just as we are working to bring things in, so do we have to be willing to let go and release. And in that process of release, it's harder to trust. It's harder to trust in the flow. But Spirit is consistently saying to us, with patience, with purpose, it will happen. We are being called to having a level of self-awareness and not sweeping things under the rug. When we do that, it's just going to get left for later, unfortunately. I've tried. No. We all do it in one way or another, whether it's through avoidance, running away, pretending it doesn't exist, ghosting, whatever. And we're in this, astrologically right now, it's this battle between our emotion, our feeling, how we want to grow and expand, and how we're being I want to say kept down. It's not in a bad way, you're being put down. It's like Spirit's making you wait, right? Because again, we can all say that we want something, but we also have to be willing to put in the work and ownership, the responsibility that goes into that as well. 9 of Cups, I love it. Such a powerful way to start off this reading. Sorry for the glare, guys. Sorry. But it is a beautiful deck. But 9 of Cups is that wish fulfillment. And this has been popping up for us as well recently, which I love. Confirmation on that. The Hierophant, it's following tradition, not being afraid. It doesn't have to, your purpose doesn't have to be spiritual in nature. You don't have to be a healer. You don't even have to be into the tarot. It's just whatever really feels like makes your soul sing, for lack of a better analogy. But there's always a path, right, that we have to follow. There's always kind of rules and order that we have to follow in order to get there. And the Hierophant to me for you right now is a lot about not being afraid to put in the work, put in the consistent work, and in a strong, methodical, practical way. And I think depending on what you're working towards will really dictate what that is. There is this energy of self-protection. I feel like this might be you a little bit afraid. Yeah, because there still feels like, I feel like what has gotten you to this point, the stuff that you've gone through last year, last couple years, even for the last, 13 years, there's been that cycle with Pluto moving into Aquarius at the beginning of this next year. There's still some stuff that needs to be cleaned out from that. Some trauma, wounding, heartache, grief. That's just stuck in the corner, It's like the cobwebs in the background. It's gotten you to this place, which is amazing, which we love. But at the same time, we don't want that energy to linger. And this might be what is kind of attaching to you in your environment right now. Going back to those energetic bonds and cords that I was talking about earlier. depending on the nature of what we went through, how invested we were into a person, place, or thing, will kind of dictate how heavy it is in our soul. And this is a really great time for releasing. The full moon is about manifestation, but it also is beginning that process of letting go. When we move from the full moon to the new moon, it's constant rest, restoration, letting go. You're in an empowered place right now with the Chariot energy, which is ruled by Cancer. So your emotions, intuition is serving you as your highest guide. It always does, for sure. But even more so when we have watery energy. There's a lot of planets in the water signs right now. Like I said, Moon's in Cancer, Venus is in Scorpio, and Saturn and Neptune are in Pisces. So there's, again, it's that value of using that for our advantage. And it's easier said than done, because I think when we do hold on to things, it makes it harder to see the pathway forward. I feel like we're getting a little too concerned about having all the pieces. And I feel like Spirit is not necessarily divulging that to us quite yet. We might have a rough idea, rough estimation, but it hasn't really manifested. It's lingering, it's looming, it's coming in. Again, double, triple, quadruple confirmation on that message. Yeah, you're just at the beginning, I want to say, but it doesn't feel like that, because it feels like you have a strong foundation set. It feels like what your work, like, I don't know, it just, I feel like 2024 is going to be a really abundant year, especially when we have been doing the work by letting go of habits, patterns, people, places that don't serve us. Yeah, there's the devil. We have to be really conscious of this energy. 2221 was on the clock as I pulled this up. So, and actually, ironically, that number came up in our earlier reading today. And it's this value of like not losing ourselves in the midst of our partnerships and relationships. That can be really easy to do, you know. I was actually like watching this really cheesy show. I love Guilty Pleasure TV, right? And it was about twins, and I was just like watching their bond and how it's so hard for them, like not in a bad way, like, but the bond, it's like the yin and yang, right? They're like two halves of the same whole, so to speak. Not specifically, twins are individuals. I don't want to say otherwise. I actually am very envious of the bond, because it's, I don't know, it's like the coolest thing ever. But there's also that counterpart to it of when you do separate, when you do not have those things that make you feel safe and secure, the coping mechanisms, etc. And the devil sometimes wants to bring those up. Whether it is something inside of us telling ourselves that we are not worthy or don't deserve, or someone outside of us trying to lure us back in. The lies, the deceit, the illusion, trying to make something seem like it wasn't what it was. And having trust and faith in that movement forward for yourself. Because some of the questioning is holding you back right now. And it's not so much about don't ask the questions. It's more about ask where those questions are coming from. Or why you're doubting yourself. Why you're giving into this energy that really is not supportive, that doesn't allow you to feel strong. That plays games, manipulates, controls, But it's moving towards a new partnership. I think that again, is where that patience in the process is coming into play. You have this perfect person that's coming in. There's a really great connection between you two with the Two of Cups. It's going to switch everything. I'm not trying to oversell it, but I like that Hangman energy because it shows you a different way to look at something. I feel like it's going to be that last final piece of clarity that you need of whatever this past stuff is that's lingering. It's going to really shed light on what has been broken and destroyed, what wasn't meant for you, the chaos, the tragedy, buying into someone's lies or deceit. What do we need to step into to move forward? Aries energy, of course. Aries rules self. So it's knowing who we are and not being afraid of that, right? Not allowing, back to that quote by Ralph Waldo Emerson, not allowing people to dictate who we are. You know, I've definitely fallen victim to that. Like, constantly basing who I am off of what other people are saying. And it's just not true. If people don't want to take the time to get to know you or whatever, they're not worth your time, you know, and no shade to anybody by any means. But it's like, again, the more we linger around energy that is not supportive, it just continues to bring us down. And we have to know who we are and be okay with that. It's not always easy. We're not getting everyone's approval, and that's not really what this is about. It's about overcoming the places that we're so afraid or we limit ourselves or block ourselves. Sagittarius energy. Yeah, so it's a lot about expanding. I think the more we're comfortable with who we are and what we bring to the table. We just had that new moon in Sagittarius where the message was all about planning for the future, for that abundance, believing that you can have that thing that you want. It's happening. And I think it goes back to our self-worth of, yeah, nice, cultivate strength. It goes back to our self-worth, that Aries energy, cultivating the strength that we have in order to find our stability, to find our direction, to find grounding in our spirit. Yeah, balance and harmony. It's time for a rebalancing, and 2024 breaks down to the number 6. So there is going to be this emphasis on grounding our energy over this next year. Albert Schweitzer says, the path of awakening is not about becoming who you are. Rather, it's about unbecoming who you are not. Remember that, especially as we move through the end of the year, there's a lot of things that we have to be honest and aware of. And part of that is the false beliefs that we hold about ourselves. Those in and of themselves block us, limit us from having that life that we want to lead, or being the energy, being the vibration that we would love to emanate. So I'm out of time. I apologize. I hope you enjoyed this spirit reading. Happy full moon, lots of love and good blessings your way.